One truth. What fuels you? Builds you or breaks you? Meat in my system, iron in my blood. Fuel so primal it powers the flood. You on that tofu, good luck with that. I'm built from bone, butter, steak, and fat. I got B12, you got a pill. I get strong meals, you get a thrill. Plants fight back, that's nature's game. Lectins, oxalates, messing with your brain.
If you was, choose your side. Animal strength or plant-based pride. Bioavailable, ready to rise. Beat mode power, no compromise.
Tell me why your guts in pain. Bloated, tired, losing games that you read by. I don't sip, please, I lift real weight. I don't believe in fake meats. Neon green seed oils, hidden in plant-based streams. Amino acids, you get a few. I get the full stack, top tier fuel.
Truth, ignite your fight. Drop the kale, tired of the crash, flip the scale. Carnivore mode, forge and flame. Fuel wars end, remember the name. Remember the name, 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 remember the name.
Is sick and fucking tired of seeing all the carnivore shit all over these fucking apps. No one cares if you only eat meat. Every single one you identify, carnivore, fucking carnivore can, whatever the fuck your name is, and that carnivore and the fucking bio is fucking weird. You're looking at fucking, or you meat, what meat fuck is this? You're fucking born with your egg machine, like fire, you shit, your friend is, you're angry, I'm
You're spewing shit out of your asshole.
Hey lady, you need to chill the out, relax, eat some meat, and enjoy this episode of the Meat of the Matter podcast, powered by the sounds of carnivore beats. Like, share, subscribe. You know what to do. Have a meat.
The guessing games, faking health, playing diet names, low fat life, vegan soul, but deep inside I didn't feel whole. Then came fire, then came fat, steak on the plate, I bounced right back. No more crashing, no more drag, just eggs and butter in my bag. Meat made me whole, yeah, you know it's true. Brought me back to what I always knew. Meat made me whole. Now I feel alive. Give me that. Refill the brain, reset the gut, say goodbye to the low-fat blood. Meat made me whole.
And we are live. It is Sunday. We have a very special guest coming in to sub out for Peter. Unfortunately, Peter has been detained. He's busy. But we have the man himself, the creator of the baby, the creator of the beats, Byron Funk. Thanks for coming on, Byron. How you doing?
All right, and you. Thank you for the invite.
Good. Mark, how are you, buddy? We got an Irish contingency
I'm good.
today.
Absolutely. We're taking over today.
That's it. Well, since in the intro, if anybody caught that, I know people are jumping on live. Once again, we are the Meat of the Matter podcast. Where we meet, you matter. That is Mark. He is Byron. I am Tony. And Peter is not with us today, but he will be back very soon, obviously, for next week. He sends all his best wishes to everybody. But the song today, Byron, the intro song, was very plant versus meat. So I think today, for this beautiful Sunday, we are going to get into that. We're going to just actually, we're not all about critiquing. We don't want to hate, but I believe there are certain things that we got to discuss because, we're going to challenge some dogma, challenge some stuff, and I'm going to try and get this stuff as well as I can because, Peter's usually in charge of the technical stuff. I'm just, the guy that talks. So we'll see how this goes. We're going to share the screen and we'll just get right into it. So this one's going to be about plants versus animals, meat versus, not meat. So let's just give me a second here to share my screen and we'll jump right into this. So boys, we'll get your commentary as it goes. We can stop at any time, but I think this is a big thing that everybody see the screen? Perfect.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. So this is Marcus Rothkrantz, and this is nothing against him. His title of his, we can already see what's going on here. Plant-based news. Is there a bias? He says there isn't. We're going to see if there is. So we'll see how it goes.
This carnivore versus plant-based thing. Most sides think they're right and the other side is wrong. Meat eaters will say we are designed to eat meat, and the plant eaters say we're designed to eat plants. Let's keep morality, ethics, environmental impact, and sentimental emotions out of it for a minute and just look at it from a strictly biological point of view. Let me answer the most common question right away. Why do so many people get better when they go carnivore? They get better because they stop eating pizza, bagels, pancakes, cereal, bread, pasta, cookies, cakes, sugar, soft drinks, ice cream, and waffles. Replace modern processed food with anything found in nature, and you get similar results. You get the same results, and you heal just about anything if you eat just fruit.
All right, Mark, we're going to start there. What do you think about that?
Okay, so first of all, he's right about the processed food. So any diet that encourages you to get rid of processed food, in my books, is a good thing. So that can be the Mediterranean diet, that can be a vegan diet, that can be any diet that you wish. I think it's safe to say that removing processed food out of your diet should be the main priority. Where he's wrong is when it comes to the nutritional value of carbohydrates, vegetables. This is where I have the problem. And this is where they just don't understand. Yes, people might think they're actually healthy, but I know for me, these were actually causing me major problems. So are these people just going to call me liars? When I used to eat plants, all that plants did for me was just suffered with digestion. I had unbelievable gut issues. I suffered with IBS. Honest to God, it had a huge toll on my mental health. So for me, there's my evidence right there. I couldn't eat these vegetables anymore. I had to remove, and when I removed them, the impact it had on my gut was unbelievable. And when I removed them, then once the gut felt a lot better, it had a huge impact then on my mental health. So we need to push the narrative a little bit to the side here. We need to understand, okay, first of all, when we talk about plants, is there any nutritional value in plants? No, there's none whatsoever. When it comes to eating protein, you're not going to get anywhere near the amount of protein than you're going to get in an animal-based diet. You're not going to get anywhere near the 9 essential amino acids. And that's the key word there, 9 essential amino acids. You would have to eat a lot of tofu to get anywhere near the amount of protein that you're going to get in a steak. So there's my argument.
No doubt. Byron, any you want to chime in?
Yeah, I tend to agree that, if you cut out any processed foods, it doesn't matter what diet you want to basically go on. I agree with Mark, and that is that you cut out the processed stuff, you cut out the stuff that's filled with hardly any natural ingredients. And a lot of the ingredients is obviously harmful, which, I mean, it's pretty obvious from physical symptoms that people have suffered, as well as obviously, if you look at science on based on a lot of that's been created. It's obviously a starting point, and just by cutting those out, I mean, even if people just say cut bread out and they cut a lot of their sweets and all the basically anything that comes wrapped in a plastic packet with an ingredients list of like 3 or more items in it type thing,
Yeah.
I think people will see a big benefit either way. So it doesn't matter what diet you want to go. If you cut out the processed foods, I think they all tend to agree in terms of that. People will see a big difference in their life.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a coincidence that as soon as people start cutting out sugar, they'll feel a difference. As soon as they start cutting out, the grains and stuff. And I mean, that's kind of true. But like Mark's saying, I think there's a deeper argument that we get into. Yeah, okay, but everybody that goes on a diet there and they cut out the crap or the toxins or the chemicals, especially the man-made ones at the start, you're going to feel a difference. But I think we're going to let this play a little bit, and we're going to see what he says about it. So here we go. We'll continue.
Fruits and vegetables and greens and nuts and seeds. As long as it's found in nature, pasta, ice cream, bagels, and beer are not found in nature. One of the most important things to realize here is what most people call vegan is not healthy. Some of the unhealthiest people in the world are vegan because all they eat is dead, highly processed junk. Bread, pizza, pasta, fake cheese, fake meat, fried food, cooked to death food, wheat, sugar, preservatives, processed oils, cereal, jam, syrup, and all that. Just keep going. None of it is natural and none of it is healthy. They eat junk food. They're junk food vegans. They have health issues. Very few vegans are raw vegan, but raw vegans aren't off the hook either. Most of them are basically fruitarians because fruit is sweet and it tastes good, and all they eat and drink is sweet stuff. Mangoes and bananas and watermelon and grapes and sweet, fruity smoothies and tons of orange juice. Sugar, 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 sugar. This is also not natural. If you were plopped in nature and you were forced to survive, you would not find a lot of sweet stuff. Most of what you'd find out there would be bland or even bitter, and bitter is actually good for you. It stimulates the—
All right. What do you think about that, guys? Like, and just before we continue, anybody that's out there, chime in, give us your opinions. We'd love to hear them about what you're thinking. But Byron, we'll start with you. What do you think about that? Like that bitter comment?
Well, again, I agree that there's a lot of vegetarians or vegans that are basically eating a lot of this way in lifestyle, but as we know as well, that most fruits are not the same as they were hundreds of years ago. If not, a lot of them were actually man-created from some other form of vegetable. So they've been genetically modified, and this is also known if the guys want to go search all the technicals, but there's a lot of fruit that was genetically modified. So it's not the same as it was 100 or like a couple of hundred years ago. And they're a lot sweeter, which is not also normal for most of them. So by eating the genetically modified foods, it's definitely not something that your body was used to or our human body was used to over the centuries. So yeah, I tend to agree. If people are going to have too much of that in their diet, it's definitely not going to work out for them in the long run.
Yeah, no doubt. Mark, you got anything to say?
Oh yeah. So I have the same opinion with Byron. And what he mentioned at the very, very beginning about natural food, I agree with that. So anything that you find out in the open in our natural habitat, yes, the fruits and vegetables are going to be probably a little bit better for you than the ones that we get in the shops. But we also need to understand this, like what Byron said, regardless of the way you look at it, sugar is sugar. And the fact is, in the last 100 years, our foods have changed. That's where it all comes down to. 100 years ago, our foods weren't anywhere near as bitter as what they are right now. You only need to taste it. You only need to taste a strawberry. A strawberry doesn't taste anywhere near what a strawberry used to taste like a century ago. It's very, very bitter. You know what I mean? Same with grapes, blueberries, apples, oranges. The list goes on and on and on. Same with our vegetables. Our vegetables don't taste anywhere near than what they tasted like 100 years ago. They would have been a lot more raw. They would have been a lot more organic. Whereas right now we can taste the sweet taste of them. So that's where the problem is right there. And that's where he doesn't understand, regardless of where the sugar comes from. Sugar is sugar, and it's going to do a lot of damage regardless where it comes from.
Yeah, and Lamb's made a good point. I think what we're missing is our natural survival mechanisms, where sweet would have been safe, and I believe, in my opinion, bitter would have been like, stay away, it's possibly toxic or dangerous. So that argument that he's saying there, I'm like, well, that's not really true. And you know what? I don't know. Maybe people will yell at me for this, but look at babies. How many babies turn their heads away from the bitterness of vegetables, where they don't want to eat that stuff, but they'll eat the applesauce. They'll eat the mashed up yams or sweet potato. So I think that's the thing where, he's kind of missing he's talking all natural, looks all green and stuff, but is he really getting it? And then Fleur, but what is natural anymore as well? And that's the thing I'm going to strike some nerves here. This pisses me off because he mentioned something in this where it's all dead. What does that even mean? When you pick a fruit, is it alive still? When you chop a leaf, is it alive? When you pull out the root of a plant. So when you're telling me raw veganism is you're eating a lot and they argue this quite a bit, that you want to be alive foods that are alive. Are they?
Can I just add one point as well?
Absolutely.
When's the last time you walked into a shop and you seen a vegetable dirty? Like when you pick it up out of the ground, you see all the dirt on it. That's what it would have been like. I'm pretty sure 50 years ago, that's what it would have looked like. Now you walk into shops and it's all packaged. You can clearly see it. It's all packaged. There's ingredients on it. It's completely different. The vegetables are getting smaller. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this is where we're not focusing on. When I remember looking at a carrot, you had the green part sticking out of it. You would have seen the dirt on it. That's what I remember seeing a carrot like 30 years ago. Nowadays you're looking in and you're getting them in small packets. You're getting them in small packets, and it's just you can clearly see that most of these vegetables could be made. Most of them are actually handmade.
Well, we had a slide. I had a little meme there in Byron's beautiful intro with broccoli and how vegetables are created. So that argument saying that they're all natural, I challenge any really ancestral vegans to go try and do it. It'd be almost impossible. You know what I mean? Or there'd be a lot of trial and error. And I think that's something that people forget. And there was a book, Dr. Bill Schindler. I don't know if you both are familiar with him, but it's Eat Like a Human. And the amount of processing they did with all these ancient foods, they don't do anymore. So all these arguments are sort of very very subjective because they had to do these processes, soaking, fermenting, to extract as much nutrition as possible for where they were in the world. And a lot of those practices have been completely changed or like streamlined. And I mean, it's these arguments are they're so one dimensional, and we don't look at the bigger picture. So I think that's something to be said. So we'll just continue here. Byron, anything else to add, or we go?
Just a quick one. I mean, even in terms of when you look at the vegetables and that, like nowadays, especially if you're buying from grocery stores and that, there's nothing that's out of season. You literally can buy stuff in season all the time, which was never the case. Even when I still remember as a young child, at times there was lots of things we used to go buy at times, but it was okay. It's in season now.
Yeah.
So you would get it, and when it was out of season, you never got it. But nowadays, you're finding it all around, and also just knowing from other people I know in the industry, there's a lot of these food items are not ripened naturally either. There's chemical processes involved in that, trying to get them ripe and shipped and all that. And it's like, when you look at that, I mean, I just, if something's not natural or doesn't have the time to be able to mature itself, and it's getting used chemical processes to try and mature it quicker, there has to be a consequence to something like that that's eventually going into your body.
Exactly. Yeah.
No doubt.
100%.
Yes, and even grasslands are more and more cultivated. Yes, and I mean, and this is where these arguments get into like some real danger, because things aren't the same as they were. We know that. The modern day farming practices have been like gone way beyond natural, and now it's that argument about being like, I mean, I would argue if a true vegan could be local, seasonal, can you do that? I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't think there'd be enough supply.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll get
digestion, and it helps clean the liver. Sweet stuff feeds bacteria, fungus, yeast, mold, and parasites. And fruit is half glucose, half fructose. Those are sugars. The body cannot use fructose, so the liver has to work overtime to convert it to glucose so the body can use it. Do not misquote me here. I am not saying to not eat fruit. There's nothing wrong with eating fruit, but you can't live your whole life eating nothing but sweet fruit. Even monkeys know to eat half green and half fruit, plus occasionally some bugs and some other unmentionable gross stuff. If you're mainly fruitarian and your hair is thinning and your teeth are starting to rot, you might want to read my book, Heal Yourself 101, which describes the biggest mistakes that raw vegans make and how to do it right.
A little bit of a shameless plug there for him. So you know what? Just stopping here, guys. Like, I mean, he just mentioned can't live on fruit. So all the sugar diet thing that's going on right now. I mean, if you can't do it long term, that's a big carnivore debate. People say that we can't do this long term. We're all proving it that you can and be healthy. Do you want to be on the sugar diet how would you do, Byron? If you did the sugar diet for 4 years, how would you do? What do you think?
Well, I know that I'm pretty much look at sugar and my body puts on weight. So I think after a year, I'd probably put the 30 kilos I've lost in the past back on, and I'd probably look like a fruit.
Yeah, Mark, what do you think?
If I let a lot of sugar in 1 year, I would be in a really, really bad place.
Yeah.
I would be broken. It's as simple as that. My hunger would get out of control. Like Byron, I would put on so much weight. I would feel like crap. My anger issues would return. My mental health issues would return. No, thank you.
And boys, when I'm thinking about a carnivore or an animal based, proper human diet, that's the reason why I know this is good for me, because it's bringing every single essential nutrient to the table. So if you want to jump on the bandwagon and try the sugar diet, be very careful, because I mean, I was type 2 diabetic. I was sugar addicted. What does that 3, 4, whatever, 2 weeks do to me? And does that set me back into it's just be very careful. But I don't want to get too far into that, because we could talk all day about that. We actually have. So,
can I just add something here?
Yeah.
Did you guys see my video this morning?
No, I didn't. I was
okay. Well,
we were busy making babies, Mark.
I spoke about a 10-year-old child this morning. I read an article in it came up on my feeds. Someone sent it to me yesterday. A 10-year-old had fatty liver disease.
Wow.
A 10-year-old. Now, where do we get fatty liver disease from? We usually get it when we're old. Usually in our 50s. It usually happens when we drink an awful lot of alcohol. This 10-year-old's liver was absolutely huge. Huge.
Yeah.
Now, the question is this. Why is a 10-year-old developing fatty liver disease?
Well, yeah, no doubt. And this,
I mean,
this
that's where I want to focus on, because when I read the article, the doctor was saying to the mother, we need to get your child to lose weight. There was nothing mentioned. There was nothing mentioned about nutrition.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you actually read the article, the doctor was saying, okay, if we can't get your child to lose weight, well, then I'm going to have to put them on a weight loss injection. I want people to actually listen to that.
Yeah.
If we cannot help your child to lose weight, then we need to put your child on a weight loss injection. It's it's criminal, guys. It's absolutely criminal.
Yeah. And here's, we have a comment here, Nick. He's crushing through and thriving. We'll be back on meat soon. 3 weeks on the sugar and down 11 pounds. Now, we're not saying it doesn't work. We're not saying, we're just cautioning on the side of really, I mean, it's not bringing any nutrition. So be careful. That's my advice to people. I mean, I will not, go ahead.
Sorry, Tony. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I will not be trying it because, I mean, as far as my steady decline of body fat percentage, I'm very happy with, and I believe I could get there without, remember, you got glycation, fatty liver, all these things that could be popping up. So, it's just, it's one of those things that I think people need to really, really take a big hard look, because we're not saying calories in, calories out doesn't work either, but the suffering and the possibilities, we've just found a way that we're all sort of thriving and feeling good. And I think riding that until. So.
Yeah. And I was just going to add what you added, Tony, that I think what Nick is missing out here is we're not focused. We're not talking about weight loss here. We all know that you can eat McDonald's 7 days a week if you want to.
Yeah.
You can lose weight on any diet that you want.
Yeah.
The problem is, is it going to be healthy long term? Is it going to be sustainable long term? And I can guarantee you, Nick, that maybe it's not happening now, but it's only a matter of time before you're going to run into a health issue. It might. I'm hoping it doesn't happen. I'm hoping, but I can guarantee you, eventually, it's going to lead. It could lead to inflammation, arthritis, knee pain, joint pain. If you're walking around and you're in pain and you're relying on medication in the next 10 years. Well, you need to ask yourself, okay, what's going on? Is this a diet issue, or is this a food issue?
Yeah. Well, I mean, and at least Nick's saying that too, is he experiments a lot, which is, hey, everybody's got the right to try what they want to do. And I hope it works out for you. And I mean, I thought about it. I thought about doing it as an experiment, but when I actually did the put it out on the table, for me, it's not worth it. And I'm glad he's saying people who require the carnivore diet are not recommending. That's good. That's good. So let's get back to the video, boys, and we'll chime on.
Okay, number 2, the paleo argument. People think paleo means cavemen with spears hunting woolly mammoths, right? And they were healthy and had long lives, and we should eat like them too. Well, scientific studies analyzing paleo poop found most of what they actually ate was plants and roots. They scavenged whatever they could. It's a lot easier to sneak up on a berry bush or some roots than an animal. And yes.
Okay, so here we go.
Another study. What?
Okay. How long, guys? We're gonna talk some shit. Okay. He's saying that they found plants in the poop. Well, how long does it take for meat to pass through? And how big are your poops, guys? Because if we're taking little smaller poops with stuff that biodegrades, where would be the evidence? So if you found plants in poop, wouldn't that mean that they had to eat it because it was there anyway?
Exactly. And if you found plants in your poop, it just proves one thing, that the food was never broken down.
Yeah. Right.
Simple. Simple.
Or did the plants grow up through the ground, through the poop?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
So I don't know, that argument's a little bit, but I mean, we've taken the toilet and thrown it upside down because, I mean, Mark, I know that I've quit. I'm at this is day 15 of no coffee, and my bowel movements have just stopped. Byron, thank you, because it was when we talked to you, that was the nail in the coffin. I mean, Peter done it, and man, I'll tell you, now it's like 2 days, every 3 days. It's wild what's changed since no coffee. So
Yeah, I was the very same, Tony. When I used to drink coffee, I used to have regular bowel movements, but once I eliminated it, oh my God! And the same, we'll talk about salt probably later on as well. I noticed a huge difference when I brought my electrolytes down as well. Huge difference.
Well,
yeah,
I mean, yeah, that's something yeah, obviously with you, like if you look at all the people that have been carnivore for more than like 8 years, 10 years, and their bodies have adjusted, they don't take the same levels of electrolytes and that like all your newly sort of carnivore type people are doing. And that's purely because there's nothing really depleting their body of those electrolytes like they are when you're taking certain plant foods that deplete your body of those minerals.
Exactly. Yes.
yeah, and it's just amazing, that whole argument gets that's what I find with the animal based carnivores is all these things that are normal aren't anymore, and we're comparing ourselves to what would be normal, and it's not the same, right? Like with everything, like Byron just mentioned, electrolytes, everything changes, and now we can't measure ourselves, the ones, especially we've been doing it for quite a while, it changes things, right? So here we go.
Yes, they did eat some animal foods, which what they did when they could, but you always hear meat eaters say our ancestors ate this way. No, they didn't. Well, they ate whatever they could. They were omnivores. They ate a little bit of everything. The average lifespan of a paleo caveman was around 30 years. That doesn't sound like the fountain of youth.
I would like to see the statistics on that one. Like,
Absolutely.
what that to me doesn't really make sense. Like if you think about it, if that's the case and they were dying at 30, how well are they maturing? And I mean, it just doesn't make sense. So I don't know about that one. That one's kind of yeah. I mean, even with the modern day age life expectancy, people don't realize that these are averages. So when they're talking about, in the dark ages or in the yeah, Peter chimed in. He's back. Look at this. Oh, now it's Darth Carnivore. I thought it was Dutch Carnivore. Darth Carnivore. Yay! Show me a painting of Sally. Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. But our life expectancy, when you take an average family that tried to have 7 kids, 3 of them died at childbirth, 2 of them lived into infancy, and then 1 survived and lived till 80. What's the average? So people don't realize that the life expectancy is an average. It's not the longest people. You know what I mean? So yes, with our technology and the advancement of fighting infection and bacteria, things have gotten a little bit better. And obviously, I believe we prolong life a lot more. We're alive longer, but are we healthy longer? Which that's probably a very serious debate with a lot of people. So, you guys, anything to say?
I mean, I tend to think in terms of life expectancy, what they put out in the main media, I would take with a pinch of salt, as per se. But back in the day when people were eating stuff that wasn't so harmful to them and hasn't been modified so much, the life expectancy to me would be a lot longer on average than it was in the last 50 years.
Yeah.
And when you look at the amount of health issues and you just go look at all the stats showing how bad health, like obviously people's health deterioration has increased over the last 50 years, and it's in a significant way. How can life expectancy be longer if health issues have been on the increase?
Yeah.
So if by all these measures your health has improved, then life expectancy should increase. And
Exactly.
if you go look at videos from not so long ago, you'll see there was hardly any obese people you would see in those videos.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
now you look at a video and obese people are normal. That's like the normal view that you see on any video. And it's just sad that in the last, because of the main media, it's almost like, and even with adverts and all these takeaway adverts and that, it's almost like seeing overweight people is a normal thing now. It's like we've become desensitized to what's normal and what's abnormal.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Totally agree with you.
We have a question, so we're going to change the screen up a bit here. And this one's for Mark. What benefits did you notice when you stopped drinking coffee? I tried quitting coffee for a few months, but I didn't notice any difference. I'll let Mark start, and then Byron, I know you've got a coffee story, and I'll tell you mine too. So, Mark.
So for me, pretty much it was everything really, to be honest with you. Like my energy, I was relying too much on energy when it came to caffeine. Um, and that was the main thing for me. I was I was having these withdrawals on a regular basis if I would cut it out for 2 or 3 days. So I was heavily relying on caffeine, heavily relying on caffeine. And then what Tony mentioned earlier on, like my bowel movements wouldn't be as regular as what they are right now. I go pretty much once every 1 or 2 days. I was a little bit constipated. And I had no idea what was the problem was until I realized that these were actually plants. These were actually made out of plants. So yeah, the main issue for me was the energy and the bowel movements. And if your bowel movements are not right, it's going to affect your mental health. So my mental health wasn't the best either. My energy levels at times were not great. And when I wanted to work out, I'd always have to rely on caffeine. I'd have to wake up and I'd have to have that energy hit before I do a workout. If I was having a talk or something, before I talk to somebody, I'd have to have that rush a bit of caffeine. So I wasn't relying on my own energy sources. I wasn't, even though I was in ketosis. I was in ketosis, but I still had to rely on a different energy source, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to go down that route anymore. I wanted to be in full ketosis and just live off natural energy pretty much going forward. So that's the reason why I've took it out. And I haven't drank coffee in 4 years, and I don't miss it once, not once.
That's awesome. And Byron, I know you have a history with coffee and what's happened to you. So you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously still striving to stop coffee full time. But I have obviously done it in a sense that I don't have it at work no more. And even at home, if I have, I'm try limited most days to only 1 cup a day. But I do make sure that I'm obviously got butter in my coffee. I don't use milk. And I'll use a pinch of salt in the coffee as well, which kind of helps to quite a bit. But at the same time, I found that when I have gone on periods where I've gone off coffee, my mental clarity has improved even more. And the longer, like what I found is that the longer that I'm eating clean and the longer that I'm on, say, a carnivore diet, a carnivore lifestyle, the more your taste buds change, the more your body changes as well. And it gives time for your body to get rid of a lot of other oxalate poisoning that you've had in your body over time, because we know that obviously with each person being different, there's stages of that surfacing on your body. And once I've been off coffee for a while, I noticed that there is the difference, and for myself. Now, obviously, I know with other people that sometimes they don't notice a difference, and that's fine. Your body obviously can process that specific food item or plant item a lot better. But then I also noticed that it also depends on how your coffee's been prepared and processed. Like, so when those beans come, I found like between a few coffee shops in the local area, if I have a certain cup of coffee from a certain shop, within an hour, I'll have eye issues, vision issues that I hadn't had for months and that I used to have before I became carnivore. And I know, okay, there's something wrong with that. And it's obviously could just be there's mold or there's other funguses that are growing in those coffee beans. And then if I have a certain coffee from another shop, I know which shop that is because I'm speaking to the owner. I know that the coffee beans have been cleaned properly. The way they process is from when they've been picked is a lot different to your normal coffee shop. And I don't seem to have any issue there if I just have 1 cup type thing or 2. So regarding that, I think it also depends. Like if you're getting coffee from a place where the beans are being prepared properly and it doesn't have that chance for the mold and that, you're not going to feel that effect. But for those that do have an effect, they will notice that when they buy from a certain shop, they'll feel a difference to when they buy from another shop. And I think also it just depends. As long as you're not having any other processed stuff or any other potential food item that's already causing issues in your body. But once you've been clean for a while, if you want to put it that way, you notice those little things. It just takes within a half an hour to an hour, you can feel the difference. Like you literally get in the car, finish your cup, and you carry on. Next minute, you feel these issues coming and surfacing on your body. And you're like, man, I should have never had that.
Well, I agree with you, and it's just there's a lot more factors than like we talk about quite often, is or isn't. But from my experience, just I think we got it, Mark. I think we got to do a show on coffee, like the whole thing, because like we get into this quite a bit. But I'm now 15 days in, and I've tried quitting coffee over my 4-year carnivore journey a few times, like give it up for a week. And I will be the first to tell you I didn't give it enough time, because I noticed around some things after about 3 days, 4 days, but this last week has when everything shifted, and I can feel the total difference. And I'm at the point where I'm not bringing it back. Like it's whatever it is, it's working. And I'm like, this is pretty incredible. So that's not to say I'll ever drink coffee again. I may have a casual cup for social reasons or something. I'm not opposed to that. But as far as part of my daily life, I'm good. Mark, you have something to say?
I was just going to add, yeah, like you mentioned about the long-term thing, Tony, you have to give it a bit of time. This is the exact same argument we have with people that try carnivore. They try carnivore for a week or two. A lot of people usually get it wrong. They usually eat a lot of protein. They make so many mistakes, and they just don't give it time. You need when you go carnivore, you have to give your body time to heal. Now, for me, when I came off the coffee, it took me nearly a month. It took me nearly a month to really focus. Okay, I don't need this anymore, because every week for the last 3 or 4 weeks, there was always that talk in my head. Okay, just add it in. It's not going to do any harm. It's fine. But the more I kept on ignoring it, and the more I kept on going on without it, like you guys mentioned, I just felt amazing. I just felt incredible. And now, like, I wake up every morning at 3 a.m. Like, my circadian rhythm is nailed down at the moment. I wake up at 3 a.m. every single morning. I have so much energy. I go to the gym and I have so much energy, guys. Honestly, and for me, I don't want to change that. I don't want to change the way I feel. I don't want anything going into my body that's going to have a negative impact on my mental health.
No doubt.
I don't want to do that. If I am going to do that, it's going to be my choice.
Yeah.
If I want to have a cup of coffee, I'll have it. I'm not saying to anybody watching this at the moment, if you're drinking coffee and you have no issues with it, and you have your digestive is perfect, and you have no issues with your mental health, keep doing it. I'm not one of these people that advocates that you should never drink coffee ever again. Yeah. I'm just saying from my experience that when I took it out, it done amazing things for my mental health. Amazing things.
And I mean, so go ahead, Brian.
I was just going to say, I agree with Mark there. And like Nick was saying, I think it's important not to compare yourself to other people, but at the same time, I think it's very important to try different things, even though, like, if you're still in two minds about carnivore. And I think it's also the thing about the community is I think people need to stop bashing other people in terms of what they eat or what they do. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, I think you get some carnivores that might bash. I don't see it too much, but I know, like, you get a lot of plant-based people that get very aggressive and they lash out at people for being carnivore because of other moral ethics. But I think at the same time, it's just to respect the way people are eating in their lifestyle and not to force your views on somebody else.
Yeah.
As well as at the same time to rather encourage them. Okay, you know what? If you're having any health issues, then try maybe look at cutting this out, because it's worked for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And by where you're doing these self tests on yourself, you cut out something, elimination, and then all of a sudden you feel that you have an improvement when you stop coffee. Well, then coffee is something you need to. But again, like what you guys have touched on, is that give it enough time that the oxalates work their way out your body, and then see how you feel.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thanks, Nick. And thanks, Bacon Baby, for the question. We appreciate that. And it's a big area. And, I quite often try and really get this point across to the people I'm helping, my clients, my family. It's not personal. And once we can separate the personal, emotional attachment to the food stuff, whatever it be, it's possible that it's doing harm. And if you can kind of just separate yourself from that, I think you're better off. And I catch myself to this day, I've been doing this for quite a while, but I still say, oh, is that me? Or is that my deep rooted emotional attachment to something, and it's like with everything. I mean, trying different meats, trying different fat to protein ratios. we get so focused on what is or isn't that, it's very individual. So that's a great point, Byron. But let's get back into this great approach. Here we go.
To me. Okay, the human body can survive on just about anything. It's one of the most amazing machines ever created. Not many creatures on this world can adapt as much as we can in order to survive. Now, notice I said the word survive, not thrive. There was a guy who ground up his car into a powder, and then he ate it. He ran it through his body, and he survived. Then he says, oh, this is great. Then he did the same thing with a small airplane. Now, does that mean we're supposed to eat cars and airplanes? The body is very forgiving. It's very forgiving. It is designed to tolerate a heck of a lot. Okay, so why is it so easy?
Just to chime in there quickly, I would not say forgiving. I would say resilient. Just saying.
Easy for carnivores to get big muscles so easily? Well, most of them eat beef, right? And dairy, which contain hormones that makes a cow grow to be 2,000 pounds. So yes, if you eat it, it makes you grow too. The term beef eater, that alcohol, comes from the Queen's Guards in Old England. They were fed beef so they could be bigger and stronger than the average person, hence the term beef eater. But those same amino acids, glutamine, arginine, choline, and hormones like IGF-1 that makes you grow also makes anything else grow inside you, also like your prostate or cancer.
Okay. First of all, I would love to see that statistic on the beef eaters. I have a funny feeling that's probably not the reason. That's probably because they liked beef. I don't know why, but I don't think that will make them grow in a sense that, yeah, we just fed them carnivore diet. I don't think that. What do you think about that, guys? About, cows, hormones, making your muscles grow, especially Mark, with being in the fitness community, in the fitness industry, for a very long time. What are your thoughts?
Well, for me, the way I see it is, what does the muscle need? The muscle needs protein. It needs protein in its natural form. Where do we get our protein from, guys? We get it from meat. I mean, it's that simple. I mean, I mentioned this at the very, very beginning. Like, meat has all 9 essential amino acids. Name one vegetable that has that. Just one. Just give me one vegetable. Not one of them. And it all has it in, and it all has it in its perfect form, guys. Perfect form.
Yeah, no doubt. And that's the thing. It's complete protein. And if you look from an aspect of God and Mother Nature knows best, well, you don't have to think about it. Just eat it. And if you're eating plants, yeah, you can do it, but you're going to have to combine them, and even furthering the point that our ancestors knew that. So when they had these foods in different cultures, they found a way to get complete protein. So it wasn't plants or animals. It was about the nutrition, the nourishment. These cultures figured it out because they could do it, or they had to feed people. But go ahead, Mark.
I'm sorry, Tony, but I know a lot of people that are eating this way, like plant eaters and all this kind of stuff. A lot of them rely on supplements also. They're getting their pea protein from like whey protein, all of this. Like, why are these people on more supplements and more medication than anything else? Yeah. So if the argument is this, if we're meant to be eating plants and people are saying it's meant to be the healthiest diet out there, then why are you guys on more medication? Why are you on more supplements? There's the question also.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well,
Byron, anything?
That's kind of from the people that I've known as well, is that there's a lot of extra tablets they have to be taking because they're not getting everything from the nutrition. Also, at the same time, is that's where this whole industry of every calorie is the same, which is like a load of nonsense. Because at the end of the day, if you go look like where some of these guys try and compare, there's more protein in this vegetable and that, and you have a look at the quantity you have to eat to achieve the same amount as you would from beef, you cannot tell me a calorie is a calorie. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
It's crazy.
And at the same time, if you have to take a lot of supplements, well, then clearly your nutrition, to me, I'm just and this has got nothing to do which side you want to be on, but if you're having to take a lot of supplements to substitute for your, that's why they're called supplements. They're supplementing what you don't get from your nutrition.
Exactly.
And if you're having to do that, well, then clearly there's something wrong with your nutrition way of eating or way of life, whatever it is. And I would say it's the same essentially if someone thinks they're doing carnivore, but they're having to supplement on a lot, besides for whatever medical reasons there could be possible in that. But if you're having to supplement a lot, well, then are you really doing carnivore, or are you really eating a decent animal-based food? So I think when you have to supplement on something, it's a reason why it's called supplements. It's to supplement what your current nutrition lacks. And if you're having to do a lot of that, you have to question, is what you're eating the correct thing?
That's right, man. I agree. And here, Darth, love it. Humans aren't supplementivores. I love it. That's a good one. I haven't heard that one before. I love it. All right, and you know, just to be frank, just for time's sake, we could probably rip everything you said about the growth hormones and stuff out. We're gonna continue on, but yeah.
But you're under 50 and you don't care, right? Because you lost your fat, you have energy, you don't get sick anymore, and you feel on top of the world. You feel great. Okay, fine. On the other hand, there are also lots of vegan bodybuilders out there. And of course, the first thing everybody says is vegans can't look like that without steroids. It's the most predictable brainwash cliche out there. What those commenters fail to comprehend is that those muscles are still made of protein. If all they're eating is plants, then obviously they're still getting their protein from plants. Steroids do not make muscle. Those are messengers, just like hormones. They tell the body to work harder and faster, like adding more construction workers so the house can be built faster. But the house is still made of bricks and concrete and wood like any other house. Muscle protein is like bricks needed to build the house, and using more construction workers is not necessary unless you want to build the house fast.
Okay, Mark, you gotta chime in on that one. What are your thoughts?
For me, I would love to see the blood work of these people.
Yeah, right.
That's it. I want to see the blood work. I'm not convinced. Simple as that.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm not dogging the Liver King, but come on, man. Really? Like those physiques, right? And, you know, one thing that we look at, you know, like if you're talking about anabolic performance enhancement, you know, it's going to help. It's like, it's just that whole thing that he just showed there, man. It's like, and I would like to see how long those guys look like that in, you know, as far as time. Is that for a photo shoot? Is that for a contest? Is that for a prep? Because I'll tell you what, if they're walking around like that, there is some definite foreign interference going on.
Yeah, you're not fooling anybody. Sorry, Byron.
Yeah.
No, I was just going to say, you know, if you go look at especially guys that are more natural and obviously just getting majority of their nutrients from food, the people that I know from in the past where they were decent size build from doing a lot of gym work and consistent gym work, let's put that, might not mean training every day, but just training correctly and consistent work. You were looking at least minimum 10 to 15 years to be at a decent size of that consistent and proper workout and proper nutrition. Where now you look at guys that haven't even done like 2-3 years, and they're the size of anything. It's like, you're definitely not natural.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody says.
I'm glad we can all agree on that one. That one was, I was just seeing these pictures. I'm like, okay, come on, man. Like, if you know anything about anything, that's.
I just add one more part. If you're growing like 10 to 15 pounds of muscle in 1 year, and you're over 40 years of age, I'm sorry, it's bullshit.
Yeah.
The average person is going to the average person is going to grow around 3 to 5 pounds of muscle in 1 year. In 1 year.
Yeah, no doubt.
I never mind that, but also to say sorry. There's no way that those guys are only eating plants, walking out the shopping center with trolleys full of plant food without a lot of that protein powder.
Yeah. And you know what, we all know, like, you know, who did the Game Changers film? James Cameron. Who had I think he sold it now, but who was the big purveyor of pea protein? Oh, look, it's James Cameron. Wonder why he did that. You know, like, just like, look at it. And I mean, we like, if you look back to that whole produced documentary for a specific reason, man, it's just the propaganda in full effect. So I think that for this guy, sorry, buddy, but that's a moot point. That's kind of not valid. So we'll continue on here.
Okay. What about fat loss? Carnivores lose fat, right? They look great and have lots of energy and they don't get sick anymore. So, well, so do people on a true whole food plant-based diet who don't eat bread and pasta and fruit juice or any refined carbs. They also lose their fat and become lean because stuff out of the garden is largely fiber and water. There's no portion control. Fiber and water just goes right through you. It cleans you out. There's no calorie counting. You can't eat too much if you eat a true whole food plant-based diet because all that fiber makes you feel full. But most people don't eat whole foods. Like granola bars, bread, cereal, and energy drinks are not whole foods, and that makes you fat, and that's what most vegans do. It's all processed, dead junk that's not found in nature. And this is the part where people say, yeah, but all that fiber makes you bloat and fart. Yes, because your body isn't used to it, because most people have been eating refined carbs.
Because it does.
Oh my God.
Because it does.
Oh man.
Oh my God.
I can't believe he pulled the gas card. Like, really? Man, I'll tell you what, like, my gas production is at a bare minimum. And I'll tell you what, I eat one tree of broccoli and that changes pretty quick.
Yes.
Now, you know, I don't know what you guys feel about this, but like I've talked to some friends who have been vegans, have gone carnivore, or gone towards the animal-based side, and that's the first thing they say. So,
well, I mean, he kind of proves the point right there.
Yeah.
So if people have gas, if you cut out the fiber and the veggies, then you'll see the gas disappears. I mean, I haven't had a better stomach ever since I can remember, obviously being changed on the diet, because I don't have those things that affect the gut. And then, I mean, even in the past, if you had a nice big Sunday lunch and there was a lot of veg and especially broccoli and potato and all that in it, you felt like your stomach was the size of a balloon. And I can't remember having that for over the last almost 15 months, basically.
Yeah, and when he mentioned about fiber keeping you full, yeah, it kept me full, but it also kept me like shit as well. Like I absolutely felt horrendous eating too much fiber. And if you're breaking wind every 2 minutes, it's not a good sign. It's not a good sign of gut health.
Well, I mean, when you just look at Nick, we see that. Yeah, I mean, I believe you can do some form of adaptation, but I mean, when you just look at what actually goes on with the microbiome and the fermentation. Well, fermentation, if anybody knows, when you're making sauerkraut or any kind of bacterial fermentation, there is off gas. It's a natural occurring mechanism. So if you're telling me that you're fermenting all these fibrous substances into small chain fatty acids, well, there is off gas. There has to be. You have to burp jars or else the jars will explode. So what do you think's going on in your gut? So, I mean, obviously there's going to be a little bit of an adaptation. Somebody might do a little bit better, but the fact of the matter is there is fermentation creates gas. And, you know, in our beautiful bowels, it's usually methane. And yeah, so it's you know, it's funny how this guy is just talking like it's a good
carbs, and they have the wrong kind of gut bacteria. It takes time to get rid of the bad gut bacteria and start growing the good ones. All right, don't start up with the anti-nutrient and lectin and oxalate argument. A healthy body naturally has gut bacteria that breaks down oxalates. But eating too much bread, sugar, and pasta makes you...
Okay, now, how are we doing for time, boys? Because I want to know, because we're getting into this, and I just want to make sure that we're not overstretching here on the time.
We're okay. You're okay.
But yeah, Okay, good, because I love it. We're in it now. This is good. What the hell does that have to do with anti-nutrients? Like, oh my God. Anyway, go ahead. Mark, I see you're smiling.
Yeah, no, it's just crazy. It's like his argument is just completely flawed, isn't it? It's just like I just don't understand. I don't think he understands exactly what he's talking about at all.
But
He's counteracting his argument on so many occasions. He really is.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Mark. I mean, he's saying it right there. All these anti-nutrients. Well, clearly, because the science is there that a lot of these things rob your body of the nutrients or prevent your body from absorbing them. So therefore, you have to consume so much more in order to try and get those nutrients. And then in doing so, you're just increasing the oxalate poisoning in your body. It's like madness.
Exactly.
If this guy's point is valid, why are you fermenting, or why are you soaking your beans then, buddy? Just eat the kidney beans.
Exactly.
You know? Don't worry about it. Just eat it. You'll be fine. Don't do that, by the way. But yeah, it's just
especially if they're raw. If you eat too many of some of those veggies,
and once again, if you look at our ancient history and how we came out of the hunter-gatherer phase into when they're trying to pull the most nutrition out of these whatever planted crops, they had to do things to prevent them from being toxic. That does not mean they're completely non-toxic. They're there. They knew this. That's why they did all these practices. That's why they soaked the beans. They sprouted them. They did these things to them because they knew they had to do this. So that argument falls flat on its head again.
Sick and rots your teeth, so people take antibiotics, which kills the healthy gut bacteria, and now they can't break down the oxalates anymore. As for lectins, yes.
Okay, now I don't know if antibiotics have anything to do with oxalates, but I've never heard that in Tide. I would love to hear what Sally Norton says about that one. I don't know where that's coming from. I would like to see some, as much as we love trusting the science, I would like to see some stuff about that one. So
high doses in raw beans are too strong for straight human consumption, but low doses of lectins found in most plants are actually really good for you, and they have a purpose. Did you know that a study found that lectins can distinguish between cancer cells and normal cells?
Okay, I think we're going to get into the dark depths here. So now you're telling me lectins are good for cancer? I would like to hear what Thomas Seyfried says about that. That's, I haven't read the study. This is some stuff where I don't know if this is propaganda or fear driven, but this could get ugly. We'll see.
And kill them and remove them from the body. They stimulate gut function, they limit tumor growth, and they help you lose unwanted fat. Lectins in fava beans, for example, have been found to turn colon cancer cells back into normal colon cells. And this was found over and over and over by over 14 studies and over 2 million participants. I'll put the links down below. Don't fall for the propaganda and the misinformation.
Okay. He just said, don't fall for the propaganda and misinformation.
And the money that backs those studies.
What's that, Byron?
The money that backs those studies that he's pointing out.
I have no idea I've never heard of those studies. I'm sure the vegan community has, but when I've learned the stuff I've learned from, Dr. Thomas Seyfried and a couple professors from Canada I can't remember their names at the top of my head, but that just doesn't make any sense to me logically. Mark?
No, I agree. I agree with Byron. Like who came out with these studies? I want to know who paid for these studies. I've never heard of them either. I've never heard of these 2 million participants either. Like this is just rubbish.
And somebody not so long ago that I think was pretty famous and well known, who even had a vegetarian or vegan chef and made sure they were eating that way pretty strictly to try and solve their cancer issues. Didn't work out for them.
No. And Nick, probably worth I would love to take a look at these studies because I just, from everything that I've gotten from, metabolic health and cancer, which is touchy. And believe me, we're not trying to minimize this or, if it's worth, especially with cancer, it's worth a look at everything. That is true. There's something in the pit of my stomach that's telling me that's touching on some heartstrings without proof. And I mean, I think by now, just being, up in the carnivore space for 4+ years, we would have heard something about that. And we would have heard something that was, and it would have been argued. And I've never heard that argument ever. I don't know about you guys.
No, and you know my story, Tony, with my parents. Like, my parents died of cancer.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and they were fed a lot of vegetables.
Yeah.
So these were only young people, like they're only in their 70s.
Yeah.
So if they're meant to be as good as what people say they are, well, I'm sorry, I don't agree with it, because I seen how these people suffered. I seen it firsthand.
And that's what kind of pisses me off, because it really has nothing to do with carnivore versus vegan. Like, that's about this video right now, where it's like, now you're driving some kind of agenda to justify it being okay and actually beneficial. Where, anybody that I've ever been, part of, and obviously everybody suffered with this, and my heart goes out to people because it's horrifying. I believe in learning stuff, but not preaching stuff. Hey, there might be some things out there. And you know what? That's why, Nick, I agree. I think we should look at those studies, but it's just, in my humble opinion, I think that's a very dangerous thing to be saying that. He's saying it as a matter of fact. And
he's saying it's a fact.
Yeah.
He's not backing this shit up at all with proper evidence. He's not backing this up with actual real data, like speaking to people. That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
Sorry, Byron. I don't want to see a study that you're going to read out to us. I want to hear from people.
Yeah.
Exactly that. And I agree with you on that. Is that you can show me whatever study you want there. I don't give two hoots about that study, because at the end of the day, we know that, as he says before, the propaganda that's out there, studies and paperwork has been shown that has been manipulated in the last 15 years to suit agendas. And at the same time, it's about, okay, well, there seems to be a lot of medical professionals out there who are reversing cancer, curing stage 4 cancers with certain diets, without the normal main treatments. And that, to me, is science in action.
Yeah.
Why do you want to look at a study where you're not seeing people come out and testify to say, I cured my stage 4 cancer by only eating this supposed diet, like he's claiming, and pushing those things? If there are some, that's fine. But at the same time, if you're needing certain nutrients in your body, we know that a lot of those, if he wants to go according to his thing, there's no ways you're getting the nutrients from those food items. And when you look at the medical professionals that have reversed stage 4 cancers, as an example, or even stage 3, and they've done that with obviously a combination of tools, natural remedies.
Yeah.
But it's not I agree with you. It's not okay, it's this diet versus that diet, because at the end of the day, it's based on what the type of cancer it is and the individual body. And majority of those that have been found has been done with making sure you're getting the right proteins, because as we know, it's not always, that's not going to be an issue in a lot of the stuff. And then as well, at the same time, making sure you're getting all the right amino acids, because at the end of the day, your body can't rebuild cells if it's not getting the right fuel.
Exactly. Sorry, no, go on, Tony, go ahead.
And that, like Mark was saying too, I want to see results, not mechanisms.
Yeah.
Right? Mechanisms are great, but I want to see results. And, I'm not saying that those studies, because we obviously didn't see it, but just by the way they were all flashing on the screen, if it was actual, I mean, it's hard to say with anything, because is there any actual ever proof? But it's just a touchy subject. Mark, sorry. Do you want to chime in?
No, I was just going to add the exact same what you just said there, Tony. And I was just going to add in, like, also that, like, we need to understand as well the nutrition that these people are being fed as well when they have these issues with cancer. And many scientists will tell you this. The best doctors in the world will tell you this, that anybody who's actually after getting cancer, the main thing you should be focusing on is your nutrition. You should be starving the body from as much sugar as possible, giving your body the right nutrition, give yourself the best possible chance of survival. You know what I mean? Should we be relying on medications? Should we be relying on doing these procedures like chemotherapy, stuff like that? I'm not against all this.
Yeah.
But what I am against is if we are doing these treatments, but we're feeding these patients the wrong nutrition, and we're constantly feeding them sugars and lectins and all this crap and medications and stuff like that, you're only speeding up the process of these people passing away. And that's the issue I have.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, Nick's saying, what about the people who have cured cancer with Gerson? I've never heard of Gerson therapy, but I will believe their stories. And hey, I'm not, and this is the touchy thing about this. It's horrible. And like I said before, my heart goes out about anybody who's had to deal with this in their family, loved one, friends, or themselves. And there is it's and that's just, kind of getting back to the point with this guy. I think treading very carefully with this stuff about, it's worth learning all sides. It's worth learning anything, especially when lives are at stake. I think it's just really tough when we start putting things in the box. And
just to touch on there, Tony, like we're saying, and I agree with Nick, there's always alternative methods in terms of curing certain, especially cancer issues. Obviously, I wish we had known about a lot of the stuff when my mother had cancer. But at the same time, it's going to the professionals that have experienced with whatever amount of patients that they've managed to help out with those methods, because clearly that we know not one method suits all, but at the same time, if that doctor's has got success stories, it's different to going to someone who says, oh no, we can do it based on this, and he hasn't done one person. But there are a lot of medical professionals out there that have done a lot of patients. Obviously, we don't see it in the main media all the time, but when you go and do some research, you will find medical professionals that are doing it on a monthly and yearly basis. And it's just obviously having a look at what obviously is best suited for the individual.
No doubt. All right, let's continue on here, boys.
From either side. But then there's those deficiencies that everyone brings up on both diets. Modern grocery store produce has very little B12, and meat has very little vitamin C, and it has zero fiber. Cherry pick whatever you want about either diet, but let's not lose sight of the big picture. If you stop eating modern processed food like pasta, pizza, cookies, ice cream, and beer, and only eat things found in nature, you will probably heal most of your problems. So in a sense, both sides are right for short-term results. Do you know what B12 even is? It's bacteria poop. If you were to go in nature and you pulled a carrot out of the ground and you ate it, there would be bacteria and bacteria poop.
Okay, just to touch on this quickly. I don't care where B12 comes from, because if you don't have it, you're in a lot of trouble. And we know you need B12 supplements if you're on a full-on plant-based vegan diet. So I don't care if you're telling me how it used to get, what to get, it to get. If you eat meat, you're probably okay with B12, provided that you don't have any other, side issues or any kind of thing. So
same with vitamin C as well.
Exactly, and we know that Mark, how's your scurvy doing? Byron, any
no issues at all.
Any symptoms, man? Like I'm like I don't eat any vitamin C for the most part.
And I've had a lot of people around me over the past year. I'd go on the year because you give your body time to change, but I've had a lot of people around me that have been sick, and other people have caught that supposed flu and sickness and that, and I haven't had any issues so far. Where in the past I used to catch what other people would bring around to work and all that type of stuff.
I can't remember the last time I've had the flu, honestly.
And the vitamin C argument is it's completely moot, because your requirements, once again, he's talking from a normal perspective. We're in different categories. So, you know what I mean? One diet must supplement. The other diet doesn't have to.
Exactly.
Which one's better? So
exactly.
We'll continue on here, boys. We'll get through this.
AKA B12 on it. You don't need to take creatine or carnitine. Did you know the body makes its own? Yup, the kidneys, liver, and pancreas create about 1 to 2 grams of creatine per day. It's made from arginine, glycine, and methionine. Those are amino acids, and amino acids are what make protein.
That are all found in meat in the proper proportions that you don't have to think about. And if you just eat a little bit of, a variety of different tissues, you're going to get all those glycine, methionine. Go on, Mark.
And I was just going to add as well, he's still complicating so many things. His argument is just absolutely rubbish, because he mentioned at the very, very beginning about glucose. And he doesn't understand that your body actually produces glucose itself. So when he mentions that, okay, we can get creatine, we can make creatine ourselves, we can actually make glucose ourselves as well.
Yeah.
So if we can make glucose ourselves, then why do we need to be eating vegetables? Why do we need to be eating carbohydrates? Whether they're complex carbohydrates or whether they're simple carbohydrates, whether they're in their natural forms, whether it's coming from fruit, honey. Like I said about half an hour ago, sugar is sugar. Your body produces all the glucose it needs. These people just need to look up what gluconeogenesis is. And that's the whole point of the animal-based diet. You can get everything that you need in its perfect form in an animal-based diet. Can you get this in a vegan diet?
Nope.
No, you can't.
And I don't know how accurate that is about our bodies making our own creatine. We might be able to make a little bit of it, but I know it helps when you're eating meat. And creatine is one of the most studied supplement substances in the supplement world. So they know extra creatine does a lot more than just, building muscles, for energy for your muscles. So I don't know. I think that's another one of those things that she's sort of saying, hey, it's true, but don't worry about it. You don't need it because it's not necessary, which is kind of anything, Byron.
No, just like I know there's a lot of people as they get older, let's supplement on creatine, and by all means there are studies that show it's pretty decent, and if you do need it because you're not getting enough from your diet, then it can help and work out. But I mean, like I said, I've had my strength increase, I've had everything increase as long as I'm eating enough beef and lamb and getting enough of my meats.
Exactly. And he also said something about carnitine, but he was slipped. He's like, not carnitine, creatine. Well, you can't get carnitine from a plant-based diet. So if you actually look what carnitine, and it helps your fat mobilize. And sorry, buddy. Let's go.
Protein. Okay, so let's talk protein. The body makes protein from amino acids, which are found in both plants and animals. It starts as a plant, then plant-eating animals eat the plants and turn it into protein, which turns into muscle. Almost all beef, chicken, and pork is animal muscle, which is made of protein, aka amino acids. But if we eat it, it does not immediately turn into muscle in us. The body breaks it back down into amino acids and then reassembles them back into whatever the body needs most. Just because we want it to be making muscles doesn't mean that's what it will be used.
But that's not the problem. The problem, it breaks down these amino acids, then recombines them. But if they're not in the right ratios, in the right places, it's not just muscles, it's every tissue that you don't get. So when you have rate limiting amino acids, which mean the amino acid with the least amount is the one that decides the function of the said tissue building. But he's talking about this like from a muscle-centric perspective, and there's way more to protein and essential amino acids than muscle protein synthesis. So that's the stuff that, and if you just eat meat, you don't have to worry about these combinations. You just have to eat enough, and it does. Oh, look, nature does it for you.
But he doesn't seem to. I haven't seen the rest of it, but he doesn't seem to come up and talk about. Oh, okay, well, your body, the bioavailability of this type of protein versus that type of protein, it never doesn't seem to bring that up.
Yeah, no, and exactly. So we'll see. Yeah,
Used for the body decides what the top priority is. So if we don't use our muscles, like we just sit around all day, and we don't do resistance exercises or lift weights, then that protein gets used for something else. It can even get turned into fat if the person is totally sedentary. Animal meat is easy to turn into protein for humans because the work of the assembling the proper ratios of amino acids has already been done. Plants can also give us the amino acids we need, but sometimes the ratios are different. So several different plant foods need to be eaten to get the proper amino acid profile levels. But even though eating animals is an easier way to get the proper protein ratios, there are issues like animal products have zero fiber, which our body needs because fiber is the main food source of our.
Are we really doing this again?
That hurts. That just hurts the ears.
But
Oh my God.
it's like, okay, but you don't need it.
Oh, it's getting boring now at this stage.
So, okay, we're going to be pushing it. We'll push it forward here. Gee.
Our much needed gut probiotics. And then there's the issue of hormones. Cow products especially have hormones that make them grow to be 2,000-pound animals. Doesn't matter if it's grass-fed or not. These
Yes, it does.
hormones, if taken for an extended period of time, may again fuel cancer to grow, like prostate in men. Dairy is especially estrogenic because it's full of IGF-1, which fuels female cancers like breast, ovarian, and uterine, and prostate also in men, and colon.
So you guys notice, I think we might round it up in a few minutes. We'll just push it to the end to get his final summation. But I just want you to notice, you notice how he just said all these plants and lectins were beneficial for cancer. And now he's saying that all this dairy causes cancer. It's interesting how we're not talking about factors or possibilities here, but you just see that division, and it's a new approach to the carnivore and vegan debate, and you can just feel his bias. But he's very convincing for a guy that talks well. But you hear that, and it's like, although all those things are very big speculation, and there's so many deeper factors in that, but it's unbelievable how you can see. Obviously, if we were talking, we'd be coming from an animal-based bias, but it's just really interesting how he's stung the heartstrings, and a lot of people are affected by cancer. And that just, to me, shows, I'm just like, you're not unbiased here. You're just preaching. So I don't know what you guys think.
No, I'm the same as you, Tony. Exact same.
I'm gonna move it to the end here and just see what his summation is, because we're running out of time, and I love it that we had a good little talk about this, but let's see what he says.
Have done it for thousands of years. Humans also waged wars. They raped and killed and destroyed most of the planet for thousands of years. Does that mean it's right and we should keep doing it? Do you want to keep acting like a barbarian? Okay, look, the choice is yours. But if you feel so strongly about eating meat, then take some responsibility and do it yourself just once. If you want to eat an animal, kill it yourself and see what it's like. Just see what it's like. See how you feel afterwards. Search your soul. Does it really feel like the right thing? Is it really necessary? As with many things in life, just because you can doesn't mean you should. And no matter what diet you choose, pick whatever one you want. It doesn't matter what diet.
You know what? That argument right there falls back on your face, buddy. Because just because you can eat plants doesn't mean you should.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking.
These plants are living organs as well.
Yes, exactly. We're not gonna.
Exactly, and plants also help, or some of the plants and that also help produce oxygen. So you're reducing oxygen in the air too. So,
and this, we'll probably end it there because we know where this is going. I mean, I think we heard enough of it, and I don't want to take up all of your guys' beautiful Sunday with family and friends. But I mean, and then when all else fails, we pull the tug at your heartstrings. Now, I say a prayer every time I put a piece of meat on my plate in my mouth, and I, do my best to honor the animal. When I buy an animal, I try and eat all the whole animal, even though I don't care if liver's good or bad, but if you're eating in proportion to the animal, to try and consume all of it. So, and yes, I would kill my own animals, and I would if it meant feeding my family. And I think these guys, and I'm sorry we didn't get to it, but he even says if he was on a desert island or on it somewhere and he saw a patch of strawberries and an animal, that he would eat the strawberries. Bullshit. And I'm like, yeah, so would I, because the strawberries are there and I'm starving. but then I'd eat probably whatever, how many ever strawberries I could eat. And then I'd go kill the animal because the strawberries are done and you can't eat just fruit.
Now, you know, sorry, Tony, if you, when you talk like that, I need to just say, like, in terms of some of these people's mentality, in the sense of that, if you have a survivor expert out there that knows their plants and what's poisonous, what's not poisonous, they've obviously studied it and they've looked at it. And there's ways of testing where they rub it on the skin, as an example, if it's a certain berry in that. And if it starts to burn your berry, your skin, you know it's not good. And if that doesn't have an issue, rub it on your lips. If your lips start to burn, you know you shouldn't eat it. But how many people will get dropped in the middle of the bush and know what plant would be poisonous to them and what wouldn't? It doesn't take a rocket scientist to see, okay, well, there's a deer or there's a rabbit. I don't need to worry about it. I can kill it, cook it, and eat it.
Yeah. No doubt, man. And let alone, if it's so natural, what are you going to do? Wait around for the crop to grow? Right? All those arguments fall on their face. And I mean, I'm not saying if you're an ethical vegetarian or vegan because you can't do it or you have that deep sympathy, I feel for you. I understand that. But that's not the argument. The argument is what we should or shouldn't or what is best. That's a whole other argument. And I mean,
exactly. Nobody's saying that cruelty to animals is a good thing. Not one of us are saying that. I mean, I'm a dog lover. I would hate to see my dog getting harmed. I'd hate to see any animal getting harmed. But like Tony mentioned, that's not the argument we're having here. The
100%.
argument we're having here is like what's optimal for your health. Is it a vegan diet or is it a meat-based diet? That's what it comes down to. Simple.
Yeah, and that's the whole one of the whole points as well, is that yes, if you want to eat carnivore, eat carnivore. If you want to eat plant-based, eat plant-based. But what I can't stand is when, and you don't see a carnivore running up to a plant-based show and trying to make them feel guilty for killing plants or eating plants. At the end of the day, we know if you're going to kill an animal to eat it, it's kill it humanely so it doesn't suffer. Don't torture the thing. Kill it humanely, as quick as possible, and eat it. Don't waste it. Like I can't handle when food gets wasted as such already, because then it's like, okay, well, what was the point of the animal dying for that, as an example? So exactly like you said, it's not about that. We know animal cruelty is a different scenario altogether. But to come into on people's podcasts or on where we've seen this before, and then they try and make people say, "Oh, you're a murderer," and all that. It's like hundreds. If you've got ethical issues against eating meat, by all means, do what's right for you, but don't impose your beliefs on someone else in terms of what they're eating, because overall, at the end of the day, we know that you need those nutrients from meat regardless. Otherwise, you wouldn't be supplementing when you're on a plant-based diet. But just respect other people's beliefs and way of life when they're eating a way that they believe is right for them. And if you feel that a plant-based is right for you, well, then by all means do that. If you're very sickly, well, then you have to regardless of it, to make yourself feel better or to improve your health, you would need to look at making some changes in your life to benefit from it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem, is we just get so pulled to these emotional attachments, but we don't think about it from a let alone ancestral, but a logical survival mechanism standpoint. And I mean, what are you prepared to do to survive? I would argue anything, but we've never and I hope no one's in that position where they must survive. But I think all things that we're coming from in our perspective that we're saying changes if it was just a do or die thing. And I mean, I would strongly suggest, if you're sitting on your couch and you're shopping at Whole Foods thinking that you're all rainbows and butterflies because you're buying it at a sustainable green place, it's still part of the system. And, that's where I have a thing. And believe me, I know a lot of carnivores that would love to have their own farms, raise their own animals, and do their own slaughtering. I know probably all of us would, if it was possible, we would attempt. So that argument kind of sing. So guys, I mean, it was a good one today. We had a nice little, I mean, we don't really do these reaction videos too long because the teams mark whenever we do them, they take us forever. So it's probably good because you could go for hours and hours. Firstly, Byron, thank you for jumping on today, my friend, and co-hosting. For all those that get to hear this on the replay, the track at the beginning, all the music provided by Carnivore Beats. Byron, can you tell people where you can be found?
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. It was a pleasure being on there. I'm on TikTok as Carnivore Beats, and I have got a YouTube channel which is Carnivore Beats YT at the end, and that's obviously just for YouTube. But yeah, just those two places, and that's it.
Awesome. And my friend Mark, where can people find you?
So guys, if you want to find me, I'm on TikTok also. I'm also on Instagram at fitnessbeyondtime01. And if you guys want to reach out to me, you can reach out to me by sending me an email at nsmark93@gmail.com.
Excellent, my friend. And also, just for Peter's sake, he's here in spirit, and you can find him on Dutch Carnivore on all social media platforms. Of course, you can find me at Tony_Food for Thought on TikTok and Instagram. And of course, if you're watching this on Tony Stewart Coach Food for Thought on YouTube. And we are the Meat of the Matter podcast. We're here live every Sunday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. in the UK and Ireland, 7 p.m. in the Netherlands. We do very much appreciate all of your questions, comments. Nick, thanks for chiming in. Fleur, Bride's Biscuit, I know all of you, if I missed you, we appreciate. Darth Carnivore, love that name. Bacon Baby, thanks for the questions. Thanks for the comments, and we do appreciate this. We look forward to seeing you again. Thanks, boys, and we'll see you next Sunday.
Speak soon.